everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to be talking to you about Greece. This is Traverse Journeys. I'm Ashley, I'm the founder, and we have Joy Sharman with us, who is our sailing captain and first mate. So today we'll be talking about our sailing trip. I thought I'd just give you a little information about Traverse Journeys and what we're about. We are really involved in like people, planet, purpose, like traveling, immersive travel, transformative travel, human-to-human experiences while we're on the ground. We really care about the earth and its impact that we have on it. And so we're really cognizant about sustainability in our trips and traveling with meaning. Each of our trips involves a nonprofit partner that we do an experience with or visit and have a donation component. We also visit lots of women's cooperatives and social enterprises throughout. So you can know that your travels are more than just a trip. They're really with meaning. So without further ado, let's start talking about Greece. As you probably know, here's a little snapshot of Greece within the context of Europe and the European Union and where it's located. Lots and lots of ancient history when it comes to Greece. Capital being Athens, about 10 million people, speaking the ancient language of Greek. You'll find mostly Greek Orthodox religious wise, but there's also Muslim population and some other, forms of Christianity and other religions, parliamentary republic. And before it converted to the Eurozone, because in Greece you use the euro these days, you use the drachma. And the climate wise, so many islands in Greece. So of over 6,000 islands, over 200 are inhabited. It's a very mountainous country, so you'll find all kinds of climates, microclimates all around. The winters can be fairly mild, but it can snow, and summers are quite hot and dry. We'll get into kind of our travel season and the shoulder season that we like to travel in, like spring, fall the most. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but this is just kind of a very high overview, from what we're talking about. So as you know, today we're going to be talking about the islands and where we're going to visit. We visit a very unique area called the Saronic Gulf. And one of the reasons that we have chosen to visit that region is because it's not as well traveled, which is something that we like. So throughout the trip, you're going to be learning a lot about the history of Greece and the history of the islands. There are quite a few ruins that we'll be visiting. As you know, Greece is birthplace of civilization in the West. There are many things that can be attributed to Greek history, like the Olympics, like the origins of the ideas of democracy, a lot of math and science and philosophy. Theater is something that comes up on our trip, which we'll be talking about in just a little bit, some of the very ancient theaters that were built and talked about in literature that we'll be seeing. So just something to be thinking about when you're traveling anywhere, but we really like to talk about the culture, like cultural values with the places that we travel. So in the world of cross culture, we talk a lot about collectivist cultures and individualist cultures. Like those of us who are American in the United States, we tend to be an individualistic culture, which means that we're more focused on the experience of the individual. In a collectivist culture, you're talking about thinking in terms of we rather than me. And in Greece, one of the ways this manifests is you'll see a high emphasis on family, on relationships, and time spent together, on conversations. Things take longer. There may not be such a emphasis on time. Our captain of the boat, he loves to talk about the Greek maybe time, which is things might not be precisely on time. And that's part of the culture, and that's part of what we love learning about it. So as I said, relationships are very important in Greece, and loyalty to groups, whether that be your family or that could be your local community. There's also a factor that we talk about called a feminine society, which doesn't have to do with male, female, but rather is more this idea of working to live rather than living to work, because the emphasis is more placed on the society as a whole. And then hospitality is something big that you'll see in Greek. They love to show you a good time, to make sure you're fed, have lots of food, really feel welcome in a culture. You'll feel that from the moment that you step on the ground there. There are a lot of really cool festivals and like cultural celebrations, these different ideas about like passion for living, living with soul, like living with joy. You see that through dance, you see that through music and abundance. You kind of can't escape it while you're in Greece. So we talked a little bit about the religion, being Greek Orthodox, solid, like about 80%. You'll see this a lot throughout the culture. So like religious ceremonies are observed. You'll see a lot of churches or like, icons throughout. You can see in some of these pictures here, weddings and baptism and rituals, practices that are really important in people's day-to-day life. So you'll see that come in kind of throughout the culture. So now we're going to talk a little bit about our trip. And we have Joy here, who's spent so much time in the Saronic Gulf. This is the trip that we did in 2022, already a couple of years ago. Joy, can you tell us just a little bit about the Saronic Gulf?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I've been there quite a few times now, and I do prefer these islands over the typical Santorini, Mykonos, because they're, like Ashley said, they're less traveled. People are very nice. They're down home. They're working class pretty much, but definitely have some high-end people, especially on Hydra, high-end um, uh, places, homes and restaurants and things like that. But in any case, all of the islands are, um, they're probably a couple hours apart from on a boat. And there's things to do like hiking. We rent e-bikes and four-wheelers on some of the islands for you to explore. And in between our sailing, and we stop every day for swimming. Um, the temperatures are pretty mild. They're warm, especially during that time of year that we'll be going there. Yeah, the first our first stop is Aina Island, which is home to the Temple of Aphaea. They also grow pistachios there that are really, really good. And we put them on the boat so you can sample any of the local fare from any of these islands. We try to put them on the boats every day so you can sample them. Ermione is part of the mainland, but a fishing village, wonderful restaurants there and cafes in the town there. Then there's actually a walking park that's really beautiful. Poros, a beautiful town with a steeple. It kind of gradually goes up, and there's a clock tower at the top. You can rent e-bikes here as well as four-wheelers. And Epidaros is where the amphitheater is, and we we either leave from Poros to go there, or yeah, that's probably where we go. And actually, sometimes we include Nafplio, which is not on here, but that's a historic city that's very close to the theater. And then Spetses, of course, is the Santorini of the Saronic Gulf. Very beautiful whitewashed buildings, fishing. They build a special boat there that we actually bring our boats very close to the boatyard of where these very beautiful boats are built. And there's a restaurant there that we go to that is known for their fish. Another beautiful place, which you can also rent e-bikes and four-wheelers, and lots of swimming in different little islands in between.
Yeah, thank you, Joy. So as Joy was saying, like this is kind of an overview of what the Saronic Gulf and why we love to choose this. You can see kind of in the map the area that we go around. So we'll get into the details of each island in just a minute. But kind of the idea is that you come into Athens, you have an overnight in Athens, and then we all go to the boat. And then we've got our first mate here, Joy, and then our captain, our Greek captain. And, part of the fun of doing a sailing trip is these are the islands that we visit and we typically have in mind an order. However, we defer to the Greek captains, like what's the weather and what is the climate looking like to make sure that the route is also working with the weather patterns, which island order that we want to go in, and leaving flexibility if there's something really cool to stop and see, or like, if the weather's just amazing and we want to go for a swim. So that's part of the fun of the flexibility of a sailing trip as well, is you're getting to really also go with, go with the winds, as you might say, a little bit. So here's Captain Bobbis. Got a little video I can play. So that kind of gives you an idea. So when we get on the boat, we get to sit down with the captain. He shows us the map. We're like, okay, here's the plan. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's Joy here getting some sails hoisting. And if you're really interested in boating, you're welcome to participate. And Joy and Captain Bobbis will show you what to do and help you out there. So, oops, sorry, I have to get these videos going. Okay, there we go. So this is what the boat looks like. So Joy, do you want to kind of explain the boat for us?
Oh, sure. Yeah, these are very, very comfortable catamarans. And the company that we use take really good care of them, which is very key in chartering boats. And this is the fifth time I'll be with this company because of how well they run the company and how well they keep the boats up. So yeah, there's four doubles, and they're very big double cabins. And then there's a crew cabin. There's a dining area in the aft part, and in the center, there's a like a living room, pretty much. It's pretty big, next to the galley. And then on the bow of the boat, there's like all the seating area, which you can see on the picture here. What you don't see are there's a couple of paddle boards that are on each boat, which is a lot of fun. We put those in the water. And actually, I'm sorry, his name is Captain Harris, but we call him Bobbis. He's got a drone now that he takes drone pictures he flies the drone around while you're paddleboarding for stopping somewhere, which is kind of fun. And then there's these big beanbag chairs on the deck as well. So they're very, very comfortable boats.
Yeah, it's super fun to hang out in the sun and like watch for animals in the water as we're going along. So
Oh yeah, Babis
definitely,
actually whistles for the dolphin and they come. They literally come to the boat. I don't know what it is about the pitch, but I've actually witnessed it.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So here's some more of the interior you can see of the boat, like the dining area. So each morning, and we'll talk about food in particular here in just a little bit, but like each morning we prepare a little breakfast for you with Greek food. We really, really focus on like local cuisine, have a light lunch for you guys also on the boat because we're usually like in transit kind of from the morning to midday. And then in the afternoon, when we get to whichever island is our destination, there's lots of like great options for dinners on the islands. So you can see the beds here. So the way that the boat, like the bedding and the room situation is designed, you can book two ways. You can book double, like if you're booking with a friend or a partner, we can arrange it so that the bed is a double bed. So if it's like a couple, it can be arranged so that it's a double bed. If it's two friends, it can be arranged with two separate sets of bedding so that even though you're right next to each other, you still have your own sets of bedding. The default option in terms of pricing is double occupancy, meaning two people per room. So like, if you're booking with a friend or if you're booking as a couple, it's pretty easy that way. There is the option of booking double occupancy in which you're paired with a stranger, but it would be of the same gender. So if you're a guy, we'll pair you with a guy. If you're a gal, we'll pair you with a gal. If you prefer to have your own room, you can also book with a single supplement to have in my own room. It does cost quite a bit more, and there's very limited spots for that, but it is possible. So, that's why a part of booking early is really important if you have specific rooming preferences. So for kind of the experience itself, like I was saying a little bit before, it starts and ends in Athens. We've got our Greek captain and our first mate, exploring these islands that are a lot lesser known. Each day we'll have snorkeling stops. You can do the stand-up paddleboarding, breakfast and lunch on board, and it's limited to 8 people. So it's definitely a limited amount of people that can join. So snagging your spot early is recommended. So now we'll kind of get into each island so that you can see some pictures of what, Joy had mentioned just a couple minutes ago about each island. So, Joy, you want to take each island one by one?
Oh, sure. Okay. So as I mentioned, Aina has the pistachios, which you see a pile of them right there. makes me want to have them.
I know they're delicious.
And the the Temple of Aphaea, which is a beautiful temple. It's actually one of the most ones intact for you to see, which has a gorgeous view overlooking the Gulf. And it's a quaint little town. Usually, this is our first stop, and we have dinner at the yacht club, which is very close to where we dock the boat. And one of the reasons of having these Greek captains is they know everybody. They have very good connections that get us to have our prime spot right in the middle of town. And I say this because I've seen the competition of the other charter companies usually anchoring their boats outside of the main town because they don't have the connections that our Captain Bovis has. And that's really, really important. So, and I say that about Aina because Aina has a very small um, town and a very small area to dock a very big catamaran, but Bovis seems to do it every time. So
And that
the,
really harkens to what I was talking about just a little bit ago about the collectivist culture and relationships being so important, in Greece, culturally. And like, it really is important to us too, like working with someone local, like our Greek captain, that's like what gives us that cultural connection and really allows like us to have an immersive experience on each of these islands because they're also small also. So here's one of the next islands.
yeah, Spetses is the Santorini of the Saronic Gulf. And what happens it's the furthest island away in our itinerary. And what we do along the way is we order the bikes or the four-wheelers on the way there so that the bikes are literally waiting for you when we dock the boat. And so there's not a lot of time wasted. You literally get your bike or your four-wheeler, and within 5 minutes of filling out the paperwork, you're off. And it takes about, I don't know, an hour or two to get around the island on an e-bike or a four-wheeler. But it's very, very pretty. And then that evening, we go to this Moyaro restaurant. I can't pronounce it correctly, but local fish right on the water, a very, very pretty spot. And we have dinner there. And yeah, then the next day we go off to, there's actually a beautiful swim spot from Spetses that we will go to before or after. And that's the other thing. Bovis knows great swim spots and beautiful scenery. And because we're going the time of year that we're going, it's not quite full season, high season, I guess. So these places are not busy. So we were able to get spots in some of these swim spots. Usually they're overcrowded in the summer. But yes, I was there this time I don't know, a month ago, and there was nobody in this area. It was beautiful. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And the bike around the island is stunning. You get to see so many different views and like it's super easy with an e-bike. It's super worth it. I did it on a regular bike and that was a nice little challenge. Got some good exercise, worked up an appetite for all the delicious food. So next island, Armioni.
Ermione is on the main, it's part of the mainland, but far enough away from some of the mainland to be similar to being on an island. It's very quaint. It is a lot of the locals from Greece come here for vacation because it's similar to being around an island. A lot of fishing it's a fishing village and also beautiful restaurants along the coast. There's a park nearby that you can walk through, which is actually really nice. And every island, by the way, has great bakeries that we stop every day and pick up local Greek, baked goods, the fresh breads, maybe some Greek treats, and we bring them to the boat every day for you to sample. Yeah, the Ermione's another special place. I've not seen any. There's no e-bikes there, but doesn't matter because there's plenty of other things to do.
Yeah, each island has its own special flares to it. One question, this trip that we're talking about that we're doing next together is in May 2025. I mentioned kind of the shoulder seasons that we like to travel in before, so like spring and fall. The group trip for Traverse is May 2025, but we can always do private trips for like 6 to 8 people too. So that was just a question that popped up in the box. So Captain Bob always gets us really excited about the, next day's plans or the day's plans, whatnot. So Poros and Hydra, and lots of beach time. Joy, I'll let you talk about those ones.
Yeah, Poros is the island that has the clock tower, so and beautiful uh, buildings all around there. Great shopping, great sitting. There are lots of restaurants along the coast, and places to eat, sip Greek coffees or your favorite beverage. And then you can rent the e-bikes, or actually I rented a car this past time because I wanted to really go around the island and I was afraid to do it on the e-bike, but that's just me. But e-bikes are very popular there as well as the four-wheelers, but very, very beautiful island. Hydra, actually, we have dinner at a local, one of the best restaurants in Greece, is in Poros, and he makes a very beautiful group dinner for everyone, so you can sample everything that they have to offer. And then in Hydra, no cars allowed there. Very, very charming. Again, because of Babas's connections, this harbor is even smaller than Aina, and we seem to get our spots there every time. You can walk just I don't know, quarter mile, not even to go, if you wanted to go swimming. There's some beautiful beaches in Hydra, also in Poros, but Poros is a little bit further of a walk. But yeah, Hydra's very, very nice. Hydra's like very upscale, lots of great shopping. You see the donkeys. That's the way that people get their things up to their islands, or if you were spending time in a hotel, the donkeys could take your luggage, but they're limited to how much weight they can have on them. So they're working donkeys, but they love what they do. And the restaurants are fantastic in Hydra. We actually ate at a new place this last time, and it was fantastic. It was right on the ocean and very, very nice.
Yeah, one of the great things about Greek food, especially on these islands, is so much is just like fresh and seasonal and local. It just always tastes so good. So here's some more kind of pictures. It's really fun to just like meander your way around, like go around a little corner and you see just something beautiful and go up the steps. And yeah, you can really just spend a lot of time there. So the next spot, I'll let you talk about, Joy.
Yeah, this is Epidavros. It's the famous amphitheater, and it's quite a ways from like, even if we had docked over near where people sometimes dock near this, it's still a 45-minute drive. So what we've decided to do over the years is now we stay in Poros for maybe more than one day, so that we have a day in Poros and a day in you take the van up to Epidavros, and you can visit the amphitheater, and then sometimes if there's time allows, we'll go to Nafplio, which is a very historic city with a fort. So sometimes we've kind of squeezed that in. It makes for a full day, but you get a lot of history. And then on the way back, we may or may not, depending on the people's mood, book the winery. I don't know if you have another slide on the winery, but I can talk.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just pop in real quick too. If you're really into history, some of these sites that we visit are very much in like Greek mythology, and like this particular sanctuary had to do with the healing. People made pilgrimages here for healing. So a lot of these sites aren't just like theaters and amphitheaters, but actually like pilgrimage sites and having to do a lot with like Greek lore. So very unique to see and very cool to, you can really feel the energy while you're there as well. So here's the winery that we go to that's like family owned. They make natural wines. It's super fun to taste them like down in a little cellar. Joy, you want to add anything?
It was just a wonderful surprise to find this place. The first time I had gone there, I was incredibly impressed with the quality of wine that they have. And yeah, it's very nice. We go down into the cellar, and it's family owned, so it's very small. And if you kind of didn't know it was there, you'd go right by it. But it's a very nice winery and a highlight for people if you like to sample wines. A lot of the wines in Greece also are, pretty decent. You can buy in the local stores, but this
Yeah.
is very nice.
It's cool because like in the video that you're seeing, he's showing like this is from his grandparents' farm. And so he's showing some of the old mechanisms that they used to use for harvesting the grapes and making the wine too. So a lot of history being preserved and tasting the wine, always the best part with a little snacks and stuff too. So and then throughout this we've mentioned like enjoying the water. So just a couple of like videos to see. We tend to involve everyone. So here Corey was helping us anchor the boats, and then enjoying some of the blue waters.
And some of these videos, they don't give the watercolor justice because they're bright blue, just gorgeous colors.
Yeah, it really is. Let's see. There we go. And this is like the group on the kind of front area of the book or of the boat, not the inside, but the outside that's covered, a really good spot for having a little coffee, for chatting. This is us celebrating the end of the trip. I think this was last
Yeah.
this is the 2022 trip. So lots of fun. You get to know everybody by the end of the trip. So that's one of the great things about the boat trip. And then when we're in Athens, we can we can assist with some like before and after plans, but we have a really fabulous restaurant that we take you to with this amazing rooftop view. And it's also a family-owned restaurant. Actually, Joy, you said you were just there the other like a month ago, right?
Yes. I
Yeah.
have to say that even Ashley has she does all her research, and I've been piggybacking on some of the restaurants that she recommends in her past trips that I've actually, taken to on my own trips that I do. But yeah, that's a very, very good restaurant.
I really like to curate so that you get also different experiences because they're having so much seafood out, on the islands. Like a lot of the dishes that we take you to here in Athens at this particular restaurant are more like mainland foods that you would have, like moussaka and stuff like that. So now that we're on the subject of food, so here's kind of just like what to expect. This is some of our seafood meals. So, food in Greece, obviously, it's a large country with a variety throughout the terrains and parts of Greece that you're in. But like you'll find soups and stews a lot. Of course, seafood of all kinds. There's lots of cured meats and cheeses. I'm sure everyone knows like feta, but there's like many other kinds of cheeses that you'll come across, fresh cheeses, hard, aged cheeses, olives, seasonal fruits and vegetables. We really love like going with the time of year and what's available. Lots of citrus. Very much that Mediterranean splashes of flavor. You'll also notice like in the kind of coffees and pastries, like the Ottoman influence, like it's like kind of Greek Ottoman combined, like baklava or different types of like layered, like the phyllo dough pastries or spanakopita with the spinach inside. So you'll see lots of those things. I love the spinach pies. They're absolutely delicious and a good way to get your greens. Speaking of greens, for those of you that love like vegetables, there's tons and tons of seasonal wild picked greens that they'll like saute up and serve with things. Vegan and vegetarian can be a little more challenging in Greece. It is absolutely doable. You have like lentils and beans, and of course on the boat, like Joy does an amazing job. We can like adapt to whatever dietary restrictions. Definitely, lentils are probably your main source of protein that you would be getting. And of course, pescatarian is quite easy to do. Gluten-free is actually quite easy to do in Greece as well. I mean, there are certainly a lot of breads and pastries, but like there's also rice and potatoes as, good carb sources. So food-wise, you're pretty set. Like you've got a lot of options there. This is kind of what like breakfast and lunch looks like. Like I said, we really try and pick stuff that is local and fresh. So like the sauteed spinach with, or whatever fresh greens with some lemon and some fruit, maybe some dried meats and some cheeses. Kind of pick up pastries for the day. So local breads. We love things to be like fresh. Kind of snack on like nuts and olives and crackers make sure everyone has their coffee. Got to have their coffee. Greek mountain tea is something that's very traditional and it's also very like nutritious. So that's something we love to serve you guys and introduce you to. Joy, any other comments on the food?
No, it's just gorgeous food. I guess I would put olive oil on everything now. I never liked olive oil, but now I love it because of Greece,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely recommend leaving some extra room in your suitcase to take some Greek olive oil home.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's some kind of videos for you too. This is on the boat, so you can kind of see like, the breakfast setup for the day. And then, like out on the islands, so dinner, it's technically on your own, but what ends up happening in our group, because it's usually, it's like 8 people plus Babas and Joy. So it's like usually, it's a little smaller. Most people want to eat together. So we'll, pick a restaurant, like Joy and Babas know the restaurant super well. And so people tend to eat together and just like split the check. This is one of those kind of cultural things. When you're on these little islands, like it's often not possible to go just like pay individually or split a check because maybe they only have accept cash or they could accept a credit card, but they can't split it. So this is kind of one of those cultural moments where we have people who want to participate in the meal just decide to like, split it and maybe one person pays the other, pay everyone back. It's not expensive on the islands. Like you can get like this delicious spread of food for like generally 20 to 30 euros per person, including wine. So yeah, so you have lots of options. And if you don't want to have dinner, you're not, you can do your own thing for sure. I would also recommend saving some room for maybe some gelato or ice cream. Lots of that also.
They also on Aina, they offer a pistachio pesto now, which you can buy and bring. I just brought it home. It is delicious, but I've
It
never seen
is
it anywhere except there.
so good. I brought back a lot of pistachios. Um, so yeah, just a few more kind of travel tips. Like we said, we like the shoulder seasons. Our next group trip is in early May. So always good to have layers, especially, being out on the water and whatnot. Having kind of like light clothing for beach wear, like light and flowy. Like I really like linen. It's a good, quick dry, like athletic clothing is also good. Maybe having 2 swimsuits is a good idea because like one might be wet, you want the other to dry. Having cash for the islands is really good. We send everyone a welcome pack when you sign up that has all kind of the tips in detail and, tipping your captain and what could be expected culturally for that. Joy, any other tips that you want to add travel tip wise?
No, I think we covered everything here, a lot of it. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, so our next group trip is in May 2025. As I mentioned, we can also do a custom trip. So if you have a group of friends and at least 6 people, 6 to 8 people, we can do a private trip. Just know that you want to plan in advance. So be sure and do that. And we have a discount coming up. Well, we have a price increase coming up July 1st. So if you book now, you can save yourself $300. So I'm going to answer your questions. So credit card use, is your question about credit card use on the island or credit card use for paying for the trip? Let me know what that question is as I wait for clarification on that on the islands. Okay. Yeah, credit card use, Joy, on the islands, I find that some places take it, other places don't.
Mo
Has that evolved?
well, I would say the local stands probably not, but most of the other stores and restaurants will take credit cards.
Yeah. I always find it's good to have, it's great because it's euros, and so it's just nice to have, those on hand. Um, Let me just get through this slide and then we can ask more questions too. So we have a couple more events coming up. If you like this session and want to learn more, we've got Mexico, Guatemala, and Morocco coming up soon. So yeah, any more questions on the islands themselves, on the trip itself? Anything else? Joy, can you think of anything more to add?
Um, no, I think it's hard to, there's so much. I mean, they're beautiful islands and uh, very convenient, very easy, that very safe. I mean, a beautiful place to go. So I don't have anything more to add.
All right. Well, thank you all for who showed up today, and we'll send a little follow up. We'll send a recording in case you want to watch it again, and feel free and reach out with any questions. Thanks so much for your time today, Joy.
Thank you.
All
Thanks very
right,
much.
bye everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
Cecilia. All right, bye.